Now, January 6th, you may know if you watch my show, I've talked about the fact that I was there. I listened to Trump and I walked with the crowd and I got to the Capitol building to rightfully protest, which is an American's right um, to to protest, right? And we're allowed to. I didn't see any violence. I didn't see anybody fighting. I didn't see anyone m- fighting with police officers. I didn't see any violence at all. I saw a bunch of peaceful patriots just standing, thinking that they were just protesting for the election, which all we wanted was the evidence to be seen, which there's plenty of evidence to, despite what the Democrats claim. There is plenty of evidence to show that the electors should have been sent back to the states and reevaluated. But of course, they didn't because of the violence that happened. Now, I tweeted out the next day, agent provocateur, because it was very clear to me that there were people amongst the crowd. I mean, we all know about Ray Epps, but there's so many more that you can just tell. The more you look at the footage, the more you see the people who are breaking the windows and the Antifa type black bloc wearing that would go into the bush and switch to brand new Trump gear to just blend in with the crowd, although you kind of stick out like a sore thumb because the true Trump supporters wear their stuff constantly. They aren't perfectly creased with the fold lines from sitting on a shelf for months or the flags that have the freaking fold lines that they've never been used before. The people who were in those crowds, all of their stuff was used. It was loved. It was worn with pride. Where those people, it was very obvious they were putting on brand new stuff. Anyway, I read this article today and I am not shocked at all. It turns out the FBI had so many informants that they lost track of how many they had. They lost count of how many paid informants were at the Capitol on January 6th. They had to perform an audit. They had to audit to figure out how many paid informants, and that's just the FBI, right? Who knows what the CIA was doing, right? Or what the Capitol Police, what Nancy Pelosi was finagling, because you know her and the mayor were talking, working it out, filming it all. Check us out. The FBI had so many paid informants at the Capitol January 6th that it lost track of the number and had to perform a later audit to determine exactly how many confidential human sources run by different FBI field offices were present that day. A former assistant director of the Bureau had told lawmakers. At least one informant was communicating with his FBI handler as he entered the Capitol. According to Stephen Antuono, there it is. Formerly in charge of the Bureau's Washington field office. D'Antuono has testified behind closed doors to the House Judiciary Committee that his office was aware before the riot that some of their informants would attend a Stop the Steal rally thrown by former President Donald Trump. In fact, I was at the Stop the Steal rally in D.C. A couple months prior, or maybe a month prior. I don't remember. That was 3 years ago now. But anyway, but he only learned after the fact that informants run by other field offices were also present, along with others who had participated on their own accord. Meaning, they had multiple field offices not communicating with each other. So the agent provocateurs from different field offices might have been communicating with each other, thinking that they were getting actual Trump supporters to break in and go in there. You see how much worse this is? Like, I thought it was bad that I assumed that there was a joint effort to make Trump supporters look like they rioted and tried to overthrow the government, which of course is ridiculous because they were staying in the velvet ropes and walking around peacefully and not doing anything that would make anyone think that it's an insurrection, right? They weren't even communicating. it's kind of like chaos. They didn't even know how many people were in there. So now I'm looking at these videos of the one guy that's like masked to completely, you can't see anything, breaking the window down. And when he notices that people are filming him, he starts attacking other Trump supporters, yelling at them for breaking the window down. Very clearly an FBI informant, as they say. It's just these are just informants, actually, right? These aren't actually FBI agents. They're informants, paid informants. So so how many FBI agents were undercover? It gets crazy. Like, geez. The Washington field office had to ask FBI headquarters to do a poll or put out something to people saying, were any CHSs involved, he said, so they can get a handle on the scale of the FBI's spying operation at the Capitol that day. Spying operation. If they knew that it was going to happen, why didn't they get the National Guard involved? Because they were going to make this happen. Quote, we started getting responses back, end quote, from FBI headquarters, says Duantuono, which helped identify which field offices had planted confidential informants in the crowd. One paid informant from Kansas City field office was at the Kansas City field office. Kansas City, that's not DC. I don't know if you know that. Kansas City is not in Maryland. It's in Kansas, I believe. Anyway, Uh, a informant, paid informant from Kansas City field office was at the Capitol as the crowd surged inside and allegedly was in communication with his FBI handler while they were in the crowd. I think saying that they were going in, according to the former Bureau brass. They were trying to stop some of the action happening and they left or whatnot. A- oh, I'm sure that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to stop some of the action happening. Some of the action, but they were trying to make some of the action also happen. Hmm? Just saying. Kind of weird. The FBI spends an average of 42 million each year in payments to its confidential human sources. 42 million dollars a year? Where are they getting that money? Where are they getting that money? Oh, that's a government agency, right? So that would be taxpayer funded, right? So does that mean that our taxpayer dollars actually went to pay for the people that caused this? I'm just saying. That's interesting. Hmm. According to they spent an average of $42 million each year on confidential human sources, according to the Department of Justice Office of Inspector General, which has raised concern about the vetting process for these paid informants. In a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray on Tuesday, Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan described D'Antuono's testimony as extremely concerning. Yeah, I'll say. It suggests that the FBI cannot adequately track the activities and operations of its informants, and that it lost control of its CHSs present at Capitol on January 6th, he wrote. These revelations reinforce existing concerns identified by Special Counsel John Durham about the FBI's use of and payment to CHSs who have fabricated evidence and misrepresented information. Yeah, emphasis on fabricating evidence. The Justice Department Inspector General also identified critical problems in the FBI's CHS program, Jordan added, including the FBI's failure to fully vet CHSs and the FBI's willingness to ignore red flags that would call into question an informant's reliability. I this is just slamming my theory correct that it was agent provocateurs, and I'm not the only one. It's just this is like a common thought amongst the people that were there. I mean, we were talking about it in the crowd on January 6th. We were all wondering, like, who is fighting? Because it was happening on the other side of the Capitol. It started before Trump even finished his speech. I think Trump knew something was going to go on because he actually went way late. He was supposed to speak at 12 to 1. Bear it, it's not exact, right? But I remember being there and waiting for him to start his speech and knowing that he was late, right? Because I was there early because I wanted this was my first time ever actually being to a Trump rally. I'd never actually seen him speak in person. So it was pretty cool to me because I voted for the man and I vouched for him. I lost some, I was going to say friends, but I'll say acquaintances, right? But I noticed that he showed up late, and then he kept talking. He was talking till at least, like, 1:20. I do know that it was after 1, because I distinctly remember all of the stuff that was going on at the Capitol started at 1. So long before he finished, and even longer before everyone started walking to the Capitol. So these were people that weren't even listening to Trump speak. So who were they? According to this, when you got different FBI field offices not even communicating with each other, sending FBI paid informants, probably FBI agents, to go and set the stage for what they wanted to do. Trump offered to Nancy Pelosi and Mayor Bowser, like, hey, if there's any issues, like, we can send in the National Guard. And this was before January 6th, just to make shit go smooth. Why would he do that if he wanted to overthrow the government or stop the steal by what exactly? Storming the Capitol and then what? No, that was never his plan. Trump loves America. Trump wants to do it by the book. Seems like he's trying to show everybody how corrupt the system truly is. And boy, are we seeing it. We're seeing what America is like under Biden. I mean, the fentanyl coming across the border, the countless people coming across the border, who the fuck knows who they are? It's pretty insane. I mean, yeah, gas prices, inflation, all this shit. It's a hot mess. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted here. I'll continue. We're almost done. Jordan has asked Ray to provide a substantive briefing on how the FBI used paid informants on January 6th. Yeah, we're never getting that. And any specific guidelines or admonishments that were provided to FBI CHSs prior to deploying. Yeah, we're not getting that either. Ray has also been asked to provide all debriefing documents received from Capitol riot informants. You think we're going to get any of that? Let's be real. We're not seeing those documents. Jordan also wants source reporting documentation relating to former British spy Christopher Steele, who was responsible for the now notorious dossier of false allegations about the Trump Russian hoax, which we now know originated from, you guessed it, Hillary Clinton. The number of FBI informants present during the Capitol riot has long been a controversial topic at trials of the hundreds of defendants apprehended since that day. Wrongly apprehended. Just gotta say that. Defense lawyers at the trial of five Proud Boys recently asserted that the FBI had as many as 8 informants spying on the organization and that at least one was with them at the Capitol that day. Former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund has said that in addition to paid informants, the FBI had at least 18 undercover agents in the crowd, plus an estimated 20 from the Department of Homeland Security. So you got the DHS there also. You probably got the CIA. You got you've got, I mean, there we have undercover agents, you have paid informants, you got DHS, you got CIA. Like, how many of people were in the crowd were actually just Trump supporters at this point? Holy shit. Cuz you think about, there's the video of Ray Epps, and he's whispering, and he whispered in something in someone's ear, like a younger kid, and that younger kid then pushes the fence over. And you look at the crowd that they're in, there's probably about 40 or 50 people there. We got 20 from Department of Homeland Security. We got 18 undercover agents from the FBI. That right there is 38. So how many of them were paid informants? How many of them were CIA? How many of them are whoever knows what other three-letter agencies were in there? That just makes me think that I'm 100% correct that all the people on the other side of the Capitol, where all that shit was going down, had nothing to do with the Trump supporters, nothing to do with actually being in the crowd of patriots that were listening to Trump speak and walking to protest out in front of the Capitol building. This is insane. This is crazy. This just proves to me that I was right. Insane, dude. Insane. All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. And I will please subscribe, please share this video and tell your friends. Check out the Crigler Show.